I know that if you're running out of time on a reading section, that you might be like looking at all these long answer choices and be like, oh, this is a good question to skip. It's too much work. I strongly disagree. I think you're going to get a very clear idea based on strong words for what you're looking for. And then it's really just kind of like skimming these lines, not so much reading them. So let's take a look. What do they want from us? This is the Sense and Sensibility. In the novel, Austen describes Marianne Dashwood's ability to persuade others of the rightness of her artistic judgment. So persuade others. Maybe like this is a separate idea, rightness of her artistic judgments, as is evident when Marianne visits John Willoughby, a potential suitor. So again, I don't really care about the people. That's not usually what they're testing here, but I don't know. Let's take a look. I'm having a little trouble pulling like the goals out here. They kind of blend. Maybe they're separate, maybe they're not, but let's take a look. Above all, when she heard him declare that of music and dancing he was passionately fond, she gave him such a look of approbation as secured the largest share of his discourse to herself for the rest of his stay. So, I don't quite understand this, but I guess like I'm highlighting here, such a look of approbation. So what that means, approbation is like disapproval. So I can't tell what's happening after that. So I can't tell if she is actually persuading him that he's wrong. It sounds like something, though. She's giving him a look. And, I don't know, just from my own experience, right? So, like, there's a look, a woman gives you that look and like, oh, I messed up and I need to say something different, right? So maybe that's happening here, but that feels like a lot of interpretation from me. I don't necessarily want to do that. So I don't know. I genuinely wouldn't know if this choice is right or wrong. Let's move on to B, though. Let's see if we get anything better. Their taste was strikingly alike. The same books, the same passages were idolized by each. Or if any difference appeared, any objection arose, it lasted no longer till the force of her arguments and the brightness of her eyes could be displayed. Okay, so if there is a difference, it didn't last very long because of the force of her arguments, right? So that kind of overlaps here. This is why I'm having trouble highlighting in different colors. Lasted no longer than the force of her arguments, right? The rightness of her artistic judgments. Do we know it's artistic judgment? Yeah, it's books and passages, right? So there's something artistic there. So this feels a lot more tight to me, a lot stronger of a connection, because it's actually saying that there was a change of opinion, right? If a difference appeared, if there was an objection, then she would argue and it wouldn't last very long, right? And then part of it is the brightness of her eyes, meaning she's pretty and, she's persuasive in that way too. But I don't care about that, right? I feel like I got enough connections. So right now I am favoring B over A. Let's look at C and D though. It was only necessary to mention any favorite amusement to engage her to talk. She could not be silent when such points were introduced, and she had neither shyness nor reserve in their discussion. Well, nothing about persuasion is happening here, right? She's just talking. No, she's not disagreeing with anyone. She's not persuading anyone. So it's maybe about the arts, amusement, but yeah, I don't know. Nothing persuasive here. D, they speedily discovered that their enjoyment of dancing and music was mutual, and that it arose from a general conformity of judgment in all that related to either. So, okay, we have the part about the arts, dancing and music, but a conformity of judgment means they agree. So far, there's no reason for anyone to be persuaded of anything if they agree. Encouraged by this to a further examination of his opinions, she proceeded to question him on the subject of the books. Well, questioning is not persuading, right? That's just asking questions and saying, maybe like, why do you disagree? Why do you think this? But to persuade is different. So I don't feel very strongly about this choice. I think A is tempting. It has some words that kind of relate, and maybe it's worded in a weird enough way that you're like, maybe this means something that I don't understand. I get if you don't understand approbation, that might make the choice more or less tempting depending on your personality, basically. But B, to me, says it. It says exactly what we need. The point is there is a difference of opinion, but to be persuasive, right, to persuade others is to change their mind, to tell them that they're wrong and to get them to see it your way. So only B has that for sure. A, maybe I can interpret it, but only B has it for sure. And that's what we want, right? We want the lines to just say it. As little interpretation as possible is what we want for a correct answer.